When should I expand my business? This is a question that I get all the time and something that I personally struggle with multiple times as I've grown my business from zero to over $45 million a year in revenue in the last 8 years. And in this video, I want to give you all the things that I wish I knew back then. So if you were just getting started or already on your way, I think this would be helpful. And so the first thing any business owner thinks about is a risk versus a reward, because you already have a business that's working if you're even considering growing it. And it's this idea that you could lose it, right? That going into a new market, buying a new business, expanding in some sort of way is going to take your core focus off of the thing that's already working for you and onto that something new. And during that time, will you lose money? Will you lose people? Will you not have time? Like, will you give up something that is working in hopes of getting something else, in hopes of making more money, or hopes of like having more time or whatever it is? But at the end of the day, like if you lose what you have, you're going to be worse off than if you just never did it again, right? That is the risk. That is the thing that holds you back. And the rewards to think about are freedom. Because when you grow your business, this is what happens. You grow your sales, you grow your cash flow. You're able to use more of that cash flow to hire better quality people. And those better quality people should be able to take more tasks off your plate so that you then get a little bit less in the weeds and able to kind of like move up a little bit on the hierarchy of value of tasks that you're working on. And that thus gives you freedom, because instead of your phone blowing up all the time, it's somebody else's phone that's blowing up. And that instead of like you not being able to kind of go on vacation or take a day off or whatever it is, you start to gain those things. And the larger your company becomes, the more freedom you should be able to gain, because you're not tied as much down to the day to day. And I think that's a big thing that's kind of hard to get to, because when you're smaller, you're wearing every hat, you're doing everything. Like, it's hard to imagine what is life like if I doubled my sales, I doubled my business. Like, I would just have double the amount of problems, right? That is what holds a lot of people back and what causes them not to grow, is because you're like stuck in this cycle versus, you identify that, hey, I'm stuck in this cycle. I need to hire somebody, but the only way that I can afford to hire somebody is if I have more money coming in. And so it's like this chicken and an egg. And it's something that, I have mastered over the last number of years, replacing myself as a store manager to a district manager to the COO to now the CEO. That is the reward. That is the thing we're chasing. Is obviously money helps buy you more freedom, but you gain the freedom by investing into quality people, and a bigger business helps you get there. The other factor, so we say, hey, now I want to expand. I get it. I get all that. Where do I go next? And so the easiest place to go is right next door. So I would look for a stepping stone to say, I have this like one location working, this one territory, this one vertical, whatever it is. What is something that's extremely close to home that you can then add on, that you can double, that you can grow from? That is the safest next bet versus like, hey, I'm going to buy this thing that's an hour and a half away and I don't even have one that's 30 minutes away, right? So try to grow close to home. You're going to gain synergies from having people that you can move there. You're going to have vendors. You're going to have just like ease of doing business is going to be so much greater when everything is condensed, and then it becomes harder and harder the further you go apart. So I'd rather see you build a muscle strong locally before growing. So you look for that expansion opportunity, whether that's at a greenfield, whether that's an acquisition, whatever it is, get those systems down. Start to treat that new business like you would treat the one that's an hour and a half away, and try to remove yourself from physically having to do as much as possible, right? And then once you're able to master that second location down, then you try to get a third, a fourth, a fifth, all as tightly knit as possible. Then, and only then, once you've really figured it out, would I look to get to say, hey, let me get that one that's an hour and a half away. And if I can manage that one market that's an hour and a half away, well, guess what? I can go an hour and a half in the other direction, north or east or west or south, whatever it is. Because once you figure out how to do it remotely one time, you can figure out how to do it twice, third, and fourth. At least in the franchise business, everything's system-based. Everything should be rinse and repeat. Everything should be kind of this process-driven. And if you're not in a franchise, just treat your business like that, where the things that you do in your core business should be able to be duplicated in other places. And then once I've mastered that remote market, then I would look at a plane ride. Then I would look at how do we expand geographically. And then once I can operate one market that's a plane ride away, then I can operate a second or a third or a fourth. And then really there's no limit. But the problem that every business owner goes through as they start to grow is the ones that get further and further away from the empire, the edges of the empire, are usually the ones that have more problems. They're the ones that get less attention. They're the ones that people can usually get away with more things because they don't have as much of the watchful eye on them. And so those remote locations, or the further ones, are the ones that you need the strongest leaders in, the ones who have extremely high level of accountability, the ones that are really processed, that you trust. I would spend more money investing to hire quality people on the edges of the empire, because they are going to have a lot more kind of freedom and less oversight. And I'm going to be relying a lot more on that person than somebody's really tight, that like our leadership team, or you, or whoever, can check on a regular basis. And then as I think through those next markets, those next locations, I really want to try to promote people from within, because a lot of these businesses are in the people business. Like, we happen to fix cars, but at the end of the day, we're in the people business. And our success or failure is highly dependent on the quality of people that we can put into a store. Our success of a market is based on the quality of the person that we have running that market. And so if I was looking to expand into a new market, the first thing I'm going to ask is, who do I have to run this market? And if I have somebody internally on my team who's willing to, move and live in that new market, or somebody that I know, somebody that I trust, somebody that knows our systems, like, that is going to give me a lot of confidence and going to de-risk the investment for me, versus I'm going to hire some like random person off Indeed who I don't really know, like, or trust yet, to invest $1 million or any amount of money into, that person, success running that market. Like, that to me is way more riskier than having somebody who is, in my organization. They have done well. Maybe they haven't moved up to that leadership role yet, but they have all the other qualities. Like, we trust them. We know they're going to do well. Like, we're willing to, allow them to be on training wheels for a little while they get up to speed, but we believe in them. Like, I would rather take that route than to, get somebody who maybe has a great resume and they say they're all the right things, but like, I don't know them. I don't know their work ethic. I don't know if they are going to instill the core values in all the things that I expect of people. And so that would be one of my big advices is, build your team locally, and then look to promote your people from within, give them more opportunity, allow them to progress and grow and learn, because people want to progress. Tony Robbins has this quote that's progress equals happiness. So that the more opportunities that you provide for people to grow within your organization, the happier they're going to be. And I have this thing that the bigger my world gets, the more opportunities get created for the people that live within my world. Because a lot of times when high performers leave, it's because they feel that they have maxed out, that they have reached capacity within your organization. There's no more upside, and they believe in themselves and that they have more upside than what you can provide them. And that is often why they leave. And so if you know that, and you can challenge yourself to say, hey, I'm going to continue to grow. And every time I grow, I'm able to help level up somebody else, and I'm able to give them more opportunity, give them more money, have a profit sharing plan, whatever it is that they continue to learn and grow. Like, that is how you attract really good talent, because then you can tell that story. And then also, you retain it, right? By actually doing it. That would be the big piece of advice, is people first mentality as you start to grow. And finally, you need to identify, what are your limiting beliefs? Like, what are the things that are holding you back from wanting to grow? So when I had that tight knit group of shops in the Philadelphia area, my limiting belief was, we are successful because I am involved every single day in the stores. And that if we had all these stores, in new markets that I couldn't physically go to every day, that we would not be successful because I couldn't personally touch them. And then thus I was limited to what I could drive to in a day. And over time, I realized, like, other people were having success. Other people own multiple markets, all over the country, and doing well. And so then I thought, well, if they can do it, why not me? Like, other people can have success running the same exact business as me all over the place. Why can't I do it? They're not any smarter. They're not any more educated. They don't have any more experience, but they figured out the system. They figured out how to replace themselves. They figured out how they could get somebody else to act as good as them. So here's the lesson. I try to find somebody who will do it 80% as good as me, because I realized that it's not me personally that has this like magic touch on people that gets them to do things. It's the way I communicate. It's the way I can educate. It's the way I can make people see the bigger picture of why we were doing something, and then hear the actions that kind of support that. And I coach them, and I'm positive. And, I have a certain expectation that when I walk into one of our stores, like, these things are being met. And so I figured, if I can't physically go there, if I could find somebody who could do it 80% as good as me in those quantities, that progress would be more important than perfection. 80% is good would be, and done is better to me than 100%, but I can't even find the person because that's unrealistic. And so I would identify, what are your limiting beliefs that are keeping you back from expanding? It could be belief in yourself. It could be that time. It could be money. Whatever it is, I'm telling you, there is a solution. It's just a matter of identifying what it is and then working to figure out a solution to do that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. These are all the things that I wish I knew along my journey from growing from 0 to over $45 million a year in revenue. And to be honest, these are the same core issues that I am going to personally struggle and question as I grow to 50, 60, 75, 100 million. There's no limit to what you can do in business. It's a matter of what limits you place on yourself. And the more you learn, the more you challenge yourself, the more you surround yourself with smart people, the bigger you can grow. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.